Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Growth Authentic Podcast. This is episode 18 with myself and Shane.
Yeah, hey everybody, welcome. We've got another action-packed episode for you. We go through our usual personal and professional updates for both Sam and I. And then I also wanted to highlight an upcoming course that I'm hosting. Obnovit is going to be hosting an 8-week course coming up starting October 28th, running for 8 weeks. We're going to do 90 minutes on Tuesday afternoon and 60 minutes on Thursday afternoon, going from base level ground zero with AI, maybe feeling a little overwhelmed, anxious, fearful, whatever the case is. We're going to take you from that to 100% clarity with a full-on 12-month plan, a 90-day roadmap, and a pilot project fully scoped out, as well as you becoming an AI-first human, both for personal and professional use, saving at least 2 hours per week, and you'll recoup the ROI on this course within the 8 weeks that you're in it. So if you're interested in that, reach out to support@obnovit.com, obnovit.com. Be happy to get you signed up for that. Or if you have a question, we can hop on a quick call for it. And so we go through more details on the course in this episode, and then we finish it up with some awesome updates around AI in the SEO world and how the Chrome update is shaking things up. And Sam gives a great tidbit there for search criteria and finding out information that'll be useful for your SEO side. And then I talk a little bit about the new Perplexity Comet agentic browser and where things are going. So I hope you enjoy.
Hey, Shane.
Hey, Sam, how's it going?
Good. How are you doing, my man?
Oh, great. It's an enjoyable Friday. We got the sunshine back out, and it's a beautiful fall day here. So just counting our blessings.
Oh, it's legitimately fall now, and it's starting to kind of feel like it. It's been quite an end to the summer for myself and my wife. We've been doing, man, a lot of traveling. I've kind of told you here and there just because um, coincided with a few of our recording days. But man, I went to Edinburgh for a bachelor party. Then we went to Atlanta to visit some friends. Gosh, and in about a week from Sunday, my wife and I are finally going to Korea /
Nice.
Japan. So
Wow.
lots of traveling, and I'm just glad that we've been taking advantage of, owning and operating our own business, can kind of, you know, do things under our own schedule, and really just trying to experience as much as we can together. It's been it's been an awesome few weeks from a traveling perspective, at least.
Yeah, that is so fun. It's also enjoy travel. It looks a little different once you have kids. So for anybody out there and for you guys, enjoy that while it lasts. That definitely, I mean, hey, there are people out there with, I don't want to take anything away from anyone because there are people out there with little kids who do the travel thing. Have heard stories of people going to, Asia and things with like a 6-month-old or something. And it's like, wow, man, all the power to you. But for us, that was not the case. Let's see, we've got 4.5 and 3 years old right now. And this past summer, traveling on the plane to, like across the country was pretty reasonable. We've done it when they were younger, but it was definitely a little more of a struggle. But I feel like at 3 and 4.5 now, we're like, okay, cool. Like this is a lot more manageable. So it's
Nice.
a different type of fun and travel and all that, but looking forward to ramping that back up as they get older and they enjoy it and can kind of handle longer and longer trips as well.
Nice. Is cross country the longest flight that they've been on?
Yeah, let's see. Probably to San Diego to visit my wife's parents. So their grandparents out there, they go pretty much every winter. My wife will take them out for a couple weeks just to get out of the cold weather. So they've gone from Philly to San Diego nonstop, which is the longest flight, the longest, airtime. But our longest travel day was actually this summer. We had a 22-hour travel day because of delays and all that. So they're getting to be little seasoned travelers, and it's fun in its own right, but it definitely is I definitely can remember and sometimes yearn for those days of just Mary and I going and hopping on a plane and going somewhere fun. It's a great experience.
Yeah, and that flight to San Diego is sneaky long. And for anyone going up to the Temecula area, Shane has
Mm.
a great recommendation for a winery. We definitely took that recommendation for real, and yeah, just a great place. But sneaky long trip, man. Like going to the West Coast, I find it super easy, but when you're coming back, the jet lag for some reason really just
Mm.
kicks your butt. And I can't imagine being, a 3, 4 year old and the parents of a 3 and a 4 year old trying to manage that, man. All the power to you and Mary for doing that.
Ah, thanks. Yeah. So tell a little bit about the trip to Korea and Japan. That sounds exciting. What are some of the big highlights?
Oh man. Well, you know what? Since we've gotten married, I think that's one of the biggest regrets we've had so far. Being that we haven't gone to Korea yet together.
Hmm.
My father-in-law is there for the majority of the year because his business is there. We have family that we haven't seen in person in such a long time. I also have a grandmother who's 101 years old, which is
Wow,
crazy.
that's
Um,
amazing.
yeah, she still has like better posture than I do, which is like, man,
Wow.
a wake up call for me to get my posture down pat a little bit. But I think, one of the biggest highlights for us is going to be spending time with family, some who we've never met, on both sides of the coin.
Hmm.
So that'll be an absolute highlight. We do have a few friends there as well who are just serendipitously kind of traveling into Korea around the same time. I also have a friend who's living there who I haven't seen in gosh, almost 10 years now. So a lot of family, friend time. And, outside of that, I think the thing that Yuna and I prioritize when we travel is food. And
Oh,
so,
nice.
man, we're just going to eat our way through Seoul. And then we're going to go to Osaka and Tokyo. So it should just be,
Nice.
man, I don't want to say gluttonous. I don't want to overdo it. But we're going to be able to, have the privilege of trying some really incredible food cooked by incredible people. So
Wow.
I think that'll be the major kind of takeaway points and highlights that we're at least we're looking forward to.
Nice. Now, will it be both of your first time to Japan?
I've been to Osaka just for a couple
Oh,
of nights.
nice.
I'm glad that we're going to spend a little bit more of an extended amount of time there.
Hmm.
But this will be Yuna's first time in Japan. So
Nice.
yeah, I don't even know what to expect. I'm kind of going in without any expectations this entire trip really, and just kind of be in the present moment and um yeah, not maybe not plan too much. Just have general areas that we want to go to and just try to really soak in each and every moment.
That's going to be so fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't even imagine.
Gosh, but look, I'm really looking forward to it, but if I can vent very quickly, this is the first time traveling to a really difficult time zone to really like keep the
Oh.
business up and running. And I'm coming in now 5 weeks until my marathon. And so this
Oh.
is like peak, intense training periods the next 2 to 3 weeks. So those things are definitely, keeping me up at night figuratively a little right now. Maintaining my training block, figuring out, which pockets of time to use to, get work done. Although I am going to take a legitimate week off and kind of turn things
Nice.
off for a week.
Hmm.
But man, yeah, it's like excitement and a little bit of anxiety, I'd say, leading up to this trip. So, I mean, look, I'll report back on how it goes. But overall, man, yeah, really, really looking forward to um, traveling to Korea and Asia with Yuna.
Awesome. That's a great personal update and kind of leads me into another question about any preparations. And, I think almost every episode now, we're bringing up AI and even in some degrees, not even just AI, but like even taking a step back for business automation, which has been around for a long time. But I think the AI revolution or wave that we've got going on is opening people's eyes to like, oh wow, there was automation beforehand, but we just never took advantage of it. I'm curious, are you instating any of that to help you while you're going to be out?
You know what? Some level of like itinerary planning, I've already used ChatGPT.
Nice.
I really think that just doesn't make sense to do on Google anymore. You're having to
Mm,
go into so many different websites, read Reddit threads, whereas with ChatGPT, it can all kind of, you know, synthesize all that information and give you a bit of a plan based on your preferences. You know, do we want to be in like an old country, more historic area, or something a little bit more contemporary? We're prioritizing X, Y, and Z. So I've definitely used ChatGPT to kind of do some research into areas that we want to go, things to try, things to see. Um, while I haven't thought too much about how I'll be using it while I'm there.
hmm
Um, yeah, I think more so for me, it's outside of any like AI usage, it's more just making sure that I bring like structure in my day to day here into where I'm going in Korea and Japan. So the littlest things like, grounding my day with a workout, with my, quiet time reading scripture and praying. I think
hmm
even like the littlest bit, if it's a 5 minute workout, that sense of like normalcy, I think will help the rest of that day become somewhat normal in the sense of like, okay, I got this done, now I got to find another pocket of time to do a little bit of work for this client, that client, or this area of my business. So yeah, not definitely definitely not answering your question in terms of like using AI, but I guess leading up to it, definitely using AI. When I'm there, it's more so going to be what is it that I do here that I can at least take a little bit of that just to create some sense of routine, structure, and normalcy, especially with the time zone difference and just crazy like traveling schedules ahead of us.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that, one thing that triggered in my mind when you were going through that is something that I've had to work on is going into your day. And sometimes life throws you curveballs and, in different phases in life, it can be a lot of curveballs. But the one thing you mentioned was like just finding a window, even if it's 5, 10, 15 minutes to get in a quick yoga session or something that's the form of a workout. Or, the nice thing with running, which you and I have both been ramping up on, is you can fit in, even if you get a mile in and you did 400-meter sprints, let's say, you can do that pretty quickly and still get a decent workout. And the saying that I've been kind of living by and trying to integrate more of is putting something up on the scoreboard for the day is better than throwing up a goose egg. And I never really um, followed that path. And for me, I think a little bit of like this perfectionism thing stood in the way of like, well, if I'm not going to go do a full like 60-minute intense workout, then like don't do it at all. I've had to really change my mindset around like sometimes when you're busy in life, you just have to kind of roll with the punches, and getting something in for the day is still better than nothing. And that compounded over time is much more impactful than going in this kind of like all or nothing state and then maybe falling off and missing a complete day or multiple days. Sometimes you got to just take what life gives you and follow that kind of flow path.
I think that's such a healthy like way to view a lot of the things that we task ourselves with, whether it's business, personal, and everything in between. Um, I literally have that mantra as well of like, just show up, right? Just showing up is even a great feat sometimes, right? You're overwhelmed, you're tired, you might not be feeling great, a little under the weather.
hmm
But just showing up, man, like you'll certainly feel so much better about yourself. And yeah, to your point, it doesn't have to be the full thing every single time. Sure, when you have those days when you're feeling at 100%, take advantage of it, do that long run for 15 miles. But man, sometimes you just got to show up. And for me, that's what the mantra was this week. Literally every day. I really feel like this was the past couple of weeks have been one of the busier, if not the busiest few weeks of
Wow.
the year, in great ways.
Amazing. Yeah.
Lots of plans, like lots of time spent with family and friends, and business has just been crazy in the best way possible. And there were times at like 11 p.m. I'm just dead tired, but I have to do this one thing. And part of me was like, there's no way I'm going to finish this in an hour. And so I just showed up, 20 minutes. It's better than zero. So I'm with you, man. There's something so powerful in changing your mentality that it's not all or nothing. Um, in most cases, you just chip away at things.
Yep. Yeah, and I that you further down this little path here about showing up is, I believe in Atomic Habits. James Clear, if I don't have it mistaken, there's a part of the book where it talks about um, people who are trying to get into a routine, and when they first start out, it's like just putting on their gym clothing and then actually getting out the door, going to the gym. And he says even if you walk in and walk right back out, you're only in there for 2 minutes. If you just do that and then keep doing it day after day, and then slowly over time you'll get into that routine, that those people have so much more success with building the routine and sticking with it, as opposed to being like, you just either don't get up, you don't put on the gym wear and get into the habits that you have to stack in order to make that routine. And so, yeah, as you were talking through that, it reminded me of like, yep, I remember that story. There's like, just go into the gym, even if you don't work out, just getting there, walking around for 2 minutes and walking out, you're better off than not going at all. So,
Yeah.
cheers to that.
Yes, sir. Man, look, the last couple of weeks have been crazy for me. I want to know what's been going on in your life the past couple of weeks. And honestly, we haven't even sat down and recorded a session together in what feels like 2 months right now.
Yeah.
So maybe before even like the personal updates, can we talk a little bit about last episode? My goodness, we had our first guest on the podcast. Yeah, any kind of big takeaways from having a guest on our podcast, and what the energy was on your end going into that episode?
Oh, man. Yeah, this is a funny story. So, our last guest, everybody should check it out. The last episode 17 with Callum Faulkner from The Uncommon Business at theuncommonbusiness.co. And anybody out there who's interested in um, education, AI education and training, she has a fall cohort coming up where you can go from kind of the base level, ground zero, up to very advanced usage. Now, advanced in the sense of everyday usage. Now, you're not going to become like building out agents and all of that at the very end of it in an advanced way. But from a UI daily usage perspective, great course, highly recommend it. I went through it. That's how I met her, and have continued on into other programs that she offers. And um, so the funny story about this going in is uh, when I had originally booked it with her, I was under the impression and had kind of misread this with my EA that I was going to be on her podcast, and that I would just, like, okay, I have this on the calendar. Cool. Go in. We'll do all this. And then about 30 minutes beforehand, I had gotten back for a run and I was like prepping, and I looked at it and it was like, oh wow. Okay, so Callan's coming on our podcast. All right. Okay, I need to get ready for this. Now, the good thing out there is that our podcast is completely unscripted, and the name Grow Authentic is really just, we just start having conversations. And so I was not I was not having a lot of fear around it or anxiety, but it was a little bit jarring going into our first guest ever. And Callan, I really think very highly of. So I wanted to make sure that it was a worthwhile endeavor and a great session. And so, needless to say, this is another plug here for actually using AI, is you can do things incredibly fast. So I already knew what I kind of wanted to do. was able to leverage AI to give me a little bit of structure for my mindset and the flow. And then from there, we just went on and hit it off. And I was able to start out with like, hey, like this is completely unscripted. We're just going to go. And she was like, yeah, like we won't have any problem filling up, 60 minutes. And we didn't. It was a really great episode. And, you know, some of the biggest takeaways from Callan, her program, and just her personal being is that there's a few things that are never going to change, and that's like human energy and frequency. And I love her programs because she integrates personal energy and frequency, meaning like the actual energy you bring to life and really living a more fulfilled, higher level life. And spirituality, all these different things into the human, but leveraging AI to actually accentuate and further bolster that inside the human being. So to me, it's really about her teachings, and everything is about what I would almost consider human powered AI. And I like to think of it that way as well, where it's, yeah, AI is doing a lot and it can feel a little synthetic and computer system like and all of that. But at the same time, we're all still humans, and you can really leverage it in a lot of great ways, from therapists, psychologists, self improvement. You have access to information and knowledge that's near infinite now in an instant, and the way in which that information is communicated to you can be personalized for the way that you best receive it and use it. So it's really creating higher potential or higher achieving humans with AI, which is a completely different spin than what most people are kind of thinking about when they think about AI. So that is the biggest takeaway, is just that because we use AI doesn't mean we have to lose our personal touch and our personal well-being and our energy and frequency, but in fact, it can accentuate and bolster and empower us to be better humans.
Yeah. No, leading and going back to the lead up to this podcast, I remember I was like a third of the way or like halfway into one of my long runs and you texted me. I'm like, there's no way I'm running like 4 minute mile splits to get back in time to join this podcast, which sucked, but I'm still so glad that you were able to get on and record a session with her because guys, if you are sick of Shane and myself talking about AI, you've got to listen to her talk about AI. She is so fiery and passionate. One of the one of the most enlightening stories to me about who she is as just a human and her kind of passion for this topic is when she mentioned that she was running a master class and it's typically an hour. And I think the master class ended up going for like 3 hours, which is insane, guys. Like to even have to prepare for a 3 hour master class would, yeah, that's a big endeavor. But for her to con- just basically continue on somewhat off the cuff and that's true passion. And look, sometimes you need, you know, a voice that is almost overly passionate about something to kind of give you that nudge, that motivation, and almost make you think like, whoa, why am I not even, an eighth of the way there in terms of my passion towards a specific topic. It certainly helps to, hear and hopefully partake in some courses that, this person has to offer. So definitely check out the previous episode. Yeah, I've been listening to it. I was listening to it on one of my runs and man, I was losing focus on like my steps and my form because I thought it was a really great conversation. So well done. That was awesome.
Thanks. Yeah, no, it was an amazing episode 17. Go back on the channel. That's one you'll not want to miss. And a big shout out to Callan because she made it all possible and brings the energy. And there, it's interesting because if I think back through my schooling and then my early career or mid career to where I'm at today, I always felt like there was this piece missing. And you read these stories about people who are like, oh, follow your passion, follow your dream. And I think for a long time out of middle school and then high school into college, I felt like I was doing that to some degree. But I remember along the way being like, man, I feel like there's something missing. I just felt like there was never anything that I felt strongly enough about and also competent and skilled and that I really wanted to share it. And I was like, man, I'm missing something here in the equation. around the passion piece. Not to say I didn't enjoy what I was doing. I worked hard, really loved my career in engineering and still do engineering. But man, when I attended her class, there was a complete shift in my like being and an unlock where that passion piece came in. And as you were talking to about like going a session that's going to go for an hour, but it goes for 3, like you're in that flow state. And I realized through my training with her, like integrating AI with engineering is my flow state in that passion area. And it has been wild. I'm excited to get into some of the updates on the business side, because some of the stuff that I've been able to achieve this past couple of weeks working with a engineering client is wild. So I'm really excited to dive into that. But man, for all those out there who are like, you're maybe just going to the job, you're in that 9 to 5, kind of in the traditional corporate ladder, and you're like feeling like something's missing. I would say it may hit you overnight or it may be something over time. But if you start kind of investing and pulling on that thread of like, what is the passion area? And I never ever in a million years would have guessed that it would have led me into this like AI intersection with engineering and other technical folks. But just by putting myself out there and chasing things and finding out what I'm interested in, the universe kind of has a way of getting you on a path to that energetic alignment. And man, it has been crazy because yeah, I'm in the position now where I feel like I could take this session today and we could just make it a 3 hour marathon. And I'll just throw AI stuff at you from the ground level up, take everybody from zero to ninja, at least for daily usage, like everyday AI. So that's been exciting on my side for sure.
Yeah, man. And in fact, I was talking to a friend last night about this topic of like, hey, we have our 9 to 5, right? I'm sure most of our listeners have a 9 to 5 at this point, and sometimes it requires you to take that initiative to spend an hour a day at night or early in the morning to just learn something new. In this case, for you, it was large language models. It was AI. Um, Maybe not even with any expectation, but seeing the value of it, how it can make you, um, more appealing to potential clients, makes your business run a little bit more smoothly, saves you time on things that you just don't want to do. Um, but in so doing, you find that, wow, like I kind of enjoy this. Like you didn't anticipate to become passionate about this. You just tried because you're curious. You started to really, digest a lot of information, you educated yourself, and yeah, I would, the conversation I had with my friend last night was exactly that. I think we should all encourage one another, friends and family and colleagues, to try and learn new things outside of your, regular day to day. Will it help your job? It might not, but it also might open up the doors to a totally new career. So yeah, I think that's ultimately, how even this podcast started. It was just curiosity. Like I was curious about what you were doing, vice versa. And man, the amount of growth just through conversations between two people have just exploded into, so many new developments in so many areas of our respective lives. So yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. And I'm just so glad that you found something that, you can be in flow state and be super passionate about. Cause I really felt that during, I think I listened to one of your sessions yesterday that you posted where you streamed, a free class around this as well. So just awesome to see the development on your side, man.
Thanks. Yeah, no, appreciate that. And yeah, for that's the other thing that you mentioned that's important is if you're interested in it, you go kind of tease that and pursue it a little bit. And like you said, it might not have immediate personal benefit at that moment in time for whatever it is you're doing, but the compounding and stacking and kind of this like almost matrix that you're creating over time, everything will then align. And again, that the universe kind of gives you that path, and then everything lines up and it's like, oh wow, okay, this was meant to be. And so yeah, definitely if you have the opportunity, chase those areas in whatever capacity you can at the time. And the other thing on that is like sometimes it takes, for you and I, we know very well, it's like going out and doing something completely new to grow. You have to overcome the fear of that. And there's a lot of risk associated with it. And one of the quotes I'll paraphrase is something like, the amount of growth and reward that you will get from whatever you're pursuing is directly proportional to the amount of risk you're willing to take. And so if you want really, and it's kind of along the lines of like, if you want and to have really big dreams and these really big outcomes, like you have to be willing to take a massive amount of risk and put yourself out there in positions that you've never been in before. Because if you stay doing what you're doing right now, you're going to get the same thing tomorrow and every day after. But the bigger outcomes, the bigger dreams, the more you dream, the more risk you have to be willing to take and put it on the line. So it's um it's definitely an interesting path that takes a lot of inner work and skill and development to kind of take those steps. But man, is it worth it? Just the growth is crazy.
And financial risks. That's probably the one barrier that most of us share. Yeah, that's a hard one to overcome. I still grapple with it.
Yep.
Even
Yep.
like the smallest pieces of software that I need to buy to operationalize something in my business. Something that I'm now starting to really consider is bringing on a virtual assistant. That's an additional cost, but you're absolutely right. You might feel like you're taking a step back, but it really isn't. Yes, financially, yes, you might be, incurring a cost in the short term or maybe even the medium to long term. But the goal is to reach a further kind of state for your business through these, moments of time when you take on additional risk, whether it's financial or anything else. So I think that's a really great point. And look, before we get into the business, because I know you have so much to share, and I can't wait to hear about all the stuff that's been going on within Opnovid. Just some personal updates, man. I know you're working up towards a half marathon. Kids are back in school now. Maybe just rocking and rolling into kind of like some like normalcy in terms of schedule. And look, we haven't really caught up, so I would love to hear how life has been for the past few weeks.
Yeah, that it does feel like it's been a little while because we came in hot after a busy summer, and then you've had a little bit of travel, but it's great to catch up. And yeah, I would say right now it's been an amazing early fall, late summer for us so far. Kids back in school. The weather has been really, really fantastic here in the Northeast. Feeling really grateful for that. Just enjoying it. I have gotten to do a lot of great events with family and friends over the past 6 weeks. And having that amount of normalcy has been nice, especially with the business and having the kids have their routine. And I would say the other big thing is two big things on the personal side. I'm actually going to do a full marathon in November 9th for in Allentown. It's the DNL. So we're
I'll,
preparing for that.
I'll raise my hand and apologize because that is a different beast. Let's go, baby.
No, that's all good. So last year I did my first, talking about kind of investment and risk and reward. Last year I had my first ever like running event. I never envisioned that I would really run distance. I think up to that point in my entire life at max I'd run would be like 5 miles. And then I got on training and then did the half last November and then set the goal for a full marathon this November, kind of the same event, just extended. It's here local, which is nice. So we're in full swing training on that. And that will then be the next step towards the Spartan Ultra, which is a 50K, 32 miles with like 15,000 feet of elevation gain, I think, or something in New Jersey, in your backyard, actually, up at Mountain Creek. So,
Oh, dude, I'm coming
that
to
is
cheer
going to
you
be a
on.
whole,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
that's going to be a whole nother animal. But you know, if I think back to a year ago, did I ever think that I would have already accomplished that and done that and that amount of running? Even me 2 years ago, would I have felt like I'm going to do that? No. And one thing that I've taken away from the personal side is this idea of setting big, hairy, audacious goals, which is, I think, good to great. Maybe I can't remember. So BHAGs or 10x is easier than 2x. So what I've noticed in life is if you want to go do something, set something that seems like way outside of your comfort zone. And although you may not achieve that exact 10x, it gives you you have to become the person who thinks like the person who's doing that 10x version of it. And along the way, you will become that. And then you will start acting like that. And then you'll start seeing results on that align with that. So that's been one of the big things is you have to kind of put these like crazy things out there in order to push yourself beyond your current boundaries and do it in a way that might seem unrealistic initially, but it's wild what the human mind and body are capable of. So that's really the thing is like setting those big goals. Don't be afraid to like dream big and dream bigger and dream even bigger after that and go for it.
Amen. And you also need a plan. You
Yeah.
have to have a plan for it too, right? It's also, you know, now that we're talking about like the marathon, like it's not just about having that audacious goal, but how do I now, you know, kind of adjust my fueling, my nutrition, my training schedule. Um, so it's one thing to set that crazy goal, but man, it's the process that once you start falling in love with that, and you for some reason attain that crazy goal, or even if it's a notch behind it, it gets kind of addicting. And it kind of bleeds into like other areas, like into your business too. You'll
Yeah.
start implementing a similar philosophy, and I think that's I think you're living proof of that, Mary as well. And yeah, I think there's a huge interplay between personal and professional goals that we put on ourselves.
Yeah. Oh, big time. So yeah, on the personal side, it's yeah, life is good. Everybody is healthy. Things are going well. So it's just been we're kind of in a routine here and pushing along. We love the fall, love this time of year, heading into the winter and holidays, and looking for an exciting end. We've also got the biggest probably bedrock item that we're working on right now and North Star for us is October 28th. We're launching our first ever 8-week AI training for engineering professionals, leadership team members out there who are a little bit overwhelmed, maybe lost, not sure where to start. A lot of people out there dabbling with different things like ChatGPT or Copilot, but really may not have a comprehensive deployment plan and understanding of how to utilize it to its maximum capacity or capability. And then how do we deploy and roll this out to a team? So yeah, starting on October 28th, we're going to run it 8 weeks into the week prior to Christmas. So December 16th and 18th, I think it is, we'll be finishing up an hour and a half on Tuesdays, 1 hour of office hours on Thursdays. All sessions are recorded and posted, as well as kind of homework and assignments that lead folks down the progression from like, okay, let's just get started, get our tools set up, through finding the areas in the business where you're going to get ROI with AI. And then how do we actually go about implementing it and getting our folks on board and utilizing it so we can start to play a little bit of maybe it's catch up in some scenarios, but maybe it's just keeping up in others. And maybe for some other niches, it would be leading the pack. So
That is so awesome. What, as a potential member or attendee of this program, what can one expect to gain at the end of the 8 week journey with you? Um, yeah, well, what can we expect? Like, is it ROI gain? Is it just more qualitative in terms of like, oh, now I feel a little bit more comfortable using AI? Or are there concrete kind of expected gains that one can look forward to at the end of the 8 week course?
yeah, so the beautiful thing about the 8 weeks is it's a complete transformation and journey. So it would apply to anybody coming in at any level. Of course, if you're a little bit more advanced already, it's gonna set some foundational elements that you might already know. But what I've always found is even if I'm a little bit further along, I always pick up more things by resetting that foundation, reviewing my foundation, and going back through stuff that I've been taking for granted, maybe. But back to your point of like, what does that transformation look like? It's literally coming in with you're using maybe Copilot or ChatGPT or one of the other LLMs, Gemini, as a glorified Google search right now, and you're just messing around with it, getting inconsistent results, overwhelmed, not sure where we can actually apply it in the business or how, you're going to start there. Within the first week, we're going to have enough wins and implementations for you just using a $20 or $30 a month subscription to one of them. Immediately start getting ROI that week. So hopefully, if you follow the protocol and the steps, you'd be getting like 2 to 3 hours a week back minimum. That's things like email, meeting prep, meeting minutes, action item tracking, drafting reports, information, data analysis, research, all of that week one. So that way, my goal is if you value your time at a reasonable amount for the folks who are attending, by the time the 8 weeks is over, you've already recouped the cost of the program. And then further beyond that, we have a foundation. We're talking the same language, so we understand that. We put in some guardrails and safety protocol there of how to leverage it in the right way. And then from there, we just go into identifying workflows, implementing certain things like your personal project manager assistant. There'll be things around marketing and sales assistants to help you on that side of the business. And then we'll go in for a couple of weeks and do actual technical assistant development, meaning custom GPTs, custom projects, and in Copilot, some agent build out in Copilot Studio. And by the end of it, you've got a roadmap for the next 90 days. You've got a strategic plan for the next 12 months ahead. And you've got your first pilot project scoped and maybe even partially implemented and up and running. So you go from kind of complete lack of clarity and maybe being a little bit fearful and skeptical, overwhelmed, fearful, all those things, to complete clarity. You're going to be an AI first user for yourself, as well as being able to teach others in your business. And then you're going to have that clear 12-month strategic plan. You're going to have a quick 90-day roadmap for the first 90 days after the program. And you'll have the first pilot project scoped out, ready to go. So that way you just put your team together and go ahead and hit the ground running and start seeing the benefits right out of the gate.
That's so awesome because I just think from an individual contributor's perspective, right? As an ICP, you're working at a firm. Um, in this case, more applicably to an engineering firm, you know, you might start looking like a superstar on your team by taking their course, right? All of a sudden, you're starting to operate at a different frequency, at a different, rate of speed. And you can then become this almost AI enablement person within your team. If you need help, of course, you've always got Shane and Novit as a supporting cast, or can run training for a dedicated team within your organization if you found the training to be useful. But man, I think those moments of professional development, and this specifically around AI enablement, that Shane is going to be providing, can be such a huge unlock for you and your day to day, but can really impact the team, and even at the highest of levels at the business that you work for. There can be massive positive change just from taking this one course, really. Because believe me, once you find out a few unlocks for your day to day, the first thing that you want to do is tell people about it.
Yeah.
That's like, you just want to show off, and you should
Yeah.
be bragging about it, because it's a very powerful unlock.
It's just wild. And yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, I've been doing testing and peer testing against teams of other engineering and project manager groups, and like, I'm able to do things in about a tenth of the amount of time. So that's both my schedule duration and cost. So I can do something that a team of 10 people that worked on it for 2 weeks in about, we measured it out, it was like 3 days and a tenth of the amount of billable or, tracked hours. And I can't, those results aren't going to be there for everybody right out of the gate. Like, I've invested heavily. I also am very deep and understand most of the workflows within engineering and construction organizations, and have that mentally mapped of how those things go. And so, but when you have somebody who hits that intersection of a power user with AI, you become, it's like a super tool and it becomes a superpower for you. And actually on episode 17, Callan said it like this. It's like, it would be like going and doing the Tour de France and everybody else is, doing it clean, and you're on steroids. Like, that's what it's going to feel like you are going to just walk into the office, and after our program, after 8 weeks, you will like go into that office on the Monday after, and you will literally that week do so much stuff for your business and walk out and just be like, mic drop. Like, this is insane, the amount of work and it's, and the thing is, everybody talks about like what's the ROI and all of this. So we know for sure 30-40% productivity gain for ICPs, anybody really, leadership, all of it, right? So 30% productivity gains, well documented, all the big ones, McKinsey, Microsoft, blah 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 blah. We know that. But the other thing that is so critical, well, there's two things actually. There's speed, which is critical, especially in the sales cycles, proposal development, and getting things out there. Your speed will be faster. And on top of all of that, you're going to get better quality, because you know what? It's just using AI in the right way. It will think of things and capture things that you didn't even think of, or that humans, you get distracted by a text message and then you have to come back to your desk and you're looking at checking these documents, doing your final quality checks, and you will miss things. It will generally do a better job at quality checking. And so you're going to get higher quality outputs if you're using it in an informed, correct manner. Unfortunately, I think a lot of people see like, oh, I just throw in and kind of chat with it and I get kind of crappy responses, or inconsistent responses and all of that. And that's really not a function of the tool. It's just a function of the training and the user and the education level. But yeah, I mean, I'm proving it out almost every day, and if not daily, weekly, with different companies, of where I'm able to produce things in such a fast amount of time and build tools so quickly that it's really truly mind blowing. It's wild. So it's something that you should invest in sooner rather than later, for sure.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm just thinking about how we talked earlier about, there's just some days that all we can do is show up and run just 1 mile versus five. AI will run those 5 miles every single time, as long
Yep.
as, like you said,
Any
you
time of
instruct it
day.
correctly.
Yeah, as long as it's not down or they're having an
Right.
issue, right? But like, it will do it. And if you get really good at building out your custom GPTs, your custom instructions, your projects, your prompts get dialed, and you understand how to leverage it, like, you're going to get consistent, daily output that far exceeds what any other team's doing without it. I mean,
Mhm.
there's no question about that. I mean, there's BCG studies with Harvard and MIT, and I'm reading a book right now called Co-Intelligence. I think it's like living and working with AI, and it is a phenomenal book, and it goes through this of like, people in the consulting space doing their job with AI, and then a subset doing a test group doing it without it. And overwhelmingly, in almost all scenarios, the people that were enabled with it did remarkably better than the other test group without it. So yeah, it's coming. And if you're not there yet, then the 8-week training course is a great way to go from that, again, overwhelmed feeling, not sure where to start, to like complete clarity and just be, on the steroids, baby.
So is it fair to say this was kind of the big priority the last couple of weeks for Obnova, just making sure you have, all the courses planned out, doing, marketing for this course coming up?
Yeah, that's been a big push. And on top of that, everything always tends to collapse on one another. So we've got a lot of other technical work, which I enjoy doing because now it's AI enabled, AI first technical work. And that has been busy as well. But yeah, a big focal point is getting that stood up and really doing the marketing, getting people enrolled, and setting our infrastructure up for it. So very excited about it, and I'm excited about the opportunity to just help out as many people as I can, and do it in a way that's a real value add for folks, and we'll see where it takes us.
That's awesome, man. I can't wait to hear more about it once the course is up and running. And definitely, guys, if you are in that space, in the engineering space, um, honestly, I don't even care where you are in your AI journey. If you are skeptical about it, more power to you to try and come to this course and try to debunk what's going on.
Yeah.
And if you're a super user, even better. You can add to the conversations. You can help other people, and I'm sure Shane can definitely teach you a couple of nuggets along the way as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's like you said, two people having a conversation is powerful, but when you get a group, a community built, which is what we'll also have. I'm part of a few other communities around AI in business, and man, the ideas that are generated during the calls, the questions that get asked, you feel heard and seen, and it gets broken down into digestible chunks that you can follow along. And man, the output is so much better than trying to do it on your own in some type of like pre-guided training or just reading online and stuff. It's like it's the training, but it's really about the community and everybody learning together and the ideas that get generated by having a bunch of people with diverse backgrounds.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Thanks. Yeah. So how about on your side? Fill us in. I know
Oof.
last you're kind of scaling. I hear mentions of a EAVA now. Yeah, fill us in.
Yeah, man. I mean, the last couple of weeks have been nutty. I'd say first thing that I want to mention, just for the SEO folks out there, big development on the Google Chrome side. Probably the biggest product development and product enhancement that I've seen,
Mhm.
that I can remember, to be real frank. But the overall theme for this recent update was around Chrome, obviously, but there were two things that really stuck out to me. One is a deeper integration with Gemini. So as you are using Chrome as you normally do, if that is your choice browser, you can now interact with Gemini in ways that um, are really it's really astonishing how much you can do now. You can, the same way that you might have used ChatGPT and dropped it a link, or um, had, questions to summarize an article for you or pull out the key points in a video. You can now do it directly on your browser. So there's a ton of updates around that bit, and second to that, which from an SEO person's perspective, I thought was the biggest update. Um, it was now this gradual rollout of AI mode being um, triggerable. I don't know if that's even a word, but it can now be triggered when you type something into your Chrome address bar.
Mm.
So, the phrase Google it has become a household phrase, right? And now if you think about Googling it, it's not going to bring you to Google search. You still have the option to go to that user interface, but I think this is Google's push to slowly get the general population more acclimated to the AI mode interface. And boy, that has a lot of implications from an SEO perspective. I think first and foremost, that means more visibility potential for brands with
Mhm.
websites out there,
Yeah.
with people searching questions, pain point use cases, everything into that browser bar. Now they are able to go directly to AI mode and get a much more conversational answer. And so that's a big thing for brands out there. If you're not already tracking your visibility in AI mode, if you aren't deploying both traditional SEO tactics, but more AI search specific tactics, this is another moment in time to really, light that fire under your butt and get your SEO program to um, appropriately set aside the right amount of time to invest in AI search performance. Um, and then I had another thought. Now, if people can use the Chrome address bar to conversationally search for things, these search queries are going to get super long. So the way that people are using ChatGPT, the way that people are using Gemini, in theory, you can start conversating and searching for things in that way, paragraph long forms of questions and context directly into your Chrome browser bar. And from an SEO person's perspective, that is marketing data that we need to
Mm.
capture because you're
Hmm.
really then understanding your audience much more intimately. So, in fact, I'm going to share my screen because there's this one cool tip that I wanted to share. It's
Yeah.
a way for you to use Google Search Console, which is, I think every SEO's kind of go-to source
Hmm.
um, to see some search performance, and there's a lot of other things in that tool. But one of the things in the tool where you can look at the types of queries that people perform to
Hmm.
um, where your website pops up in terms of impressions, or maybe someone clicks through to your website, so you get a click.
Hmm.
There's a way that you can filter by query, and this has always been there, and you can
Hmm.
use a regex filter for queries. Again, that's always been there. But this regex specifically is really cool because you can now filter for any query that has up to a certain number of words. So let's say I want to
Wow.
search all of the queries that have at maximum 15 words in it,
Hmm.
put a regex filter for queries, copy paste this in. So if you guys want to just take a screenshot of this, I know it's kind of a wacky looking formula here or regex pattern, to screenshot it, play around with it for the website that you oversee, or the book of clients that you have. You'll be really, really shocked at some of the queries that you're already gaining impressions for. Maybe the click through rate isn't as strong, so maybe there is some optimization opportunities. So I really, really encourage you guys, spend 30 minutes playing around with this for a website where you have Google Search Console enabled, um, because as people search in lengthier ways and arrive on Google AI mode, I think this is going to be one of many ways to get a little bit more insight into what those queries are, and that from an SEO person's perspective is gold. That's all marketable data. It's more information about your audience, and ultimately makes your website um, much more, I guess, attractive and aligned to the intent that someone has when they want to arrive on that website.
Man, that is. Woo.
So look, it was that bit of news. I think it came out, I think, just before last weekend.
Hmm.
And it's this type of stuff that has been keeping me very busy, right?
Yeah.
Recent news, how I'm similar to you, how I'm using AI in my business. In fact, in a couple of weeks, the platform that I use to track visibility will be releasing AI search performance data.
Wow.
So it's going to be a very big unlock, not only for myself but for my clients who are getting a lot of pressure from leadership to answer a lot of questions around, hey, people are using large language models a lot more. How do we a understand our visibility, and b action on gaps in areas that truly look like a big game changer for site traffic and site conversion. So that's also a big component that is going to be a big area of emphasis for the next few weeks, getting the tooling and everything set up for all of my clients. And yeah, I mean, last but not least, like you mentioned, I am scaling. I've brought on some support, and goodness, when it rains, it pours for some reason. Especially on the sales side of things, I think when you make it very intentional with your outreach, nurturing cold or warm leads, um, there's just something about when that first deal lands, the next one lands a little too quickly. And now, the problem then now goes to another area of the business. Do I
Yeah.
need another person to oversee this? Are there more efficiencies that I can create so that, we can handle all of the work that's about to come on? So all fantastic problems to have. But that just goes back to, why I think the last couple of weeks have been the nuttiest and the craziest and the busiest that it's ever been. And I cannot be more thankful and grateful to be in this position.
Yeah. Amazing. I love that. And the one last thing I was going to mention today on today's episode is around Chrome and the Gemini integration, where we're heading with the agentic browser and using listened to a couple different podcasts and dabbled around a little bit with Comet, which is Perplexity's AI enabled browser and assistant agent. And man, there is some really powerful stuff there of like using your chat GPT, your Claude, being logged in on the Comet browser, and then using Perplexity to go back through, find all your old conversations and return summaries of that. So a lot of other people out there might feel like the way I do, where it's like, oh, I know that I worked on this in ChatGPT at some point 6 months ago, or I had this, or I can't remember. Was it in Claude? Was it in ChatGPT? And now you can leverage Comet to go out and find that, retrieve it, and give you the link. So it goes right to that conversation in the other LLMs, which is wild. So one thing there, and then you can set it on a whole like path in the morning of like, hey, go through my calendar, plan out, look at my schedule, plan out my day. If I have meetings with other people, go to their LinkedIn profile, pull this information, prep, a 3 bullet point prep for my meeting, return that back, and also research all past meetings that I've had and content that I have on, my SharePoint, my Google Drive, all these things. Go find all the topics that I've presented on this, and give me my outline for my, another podcast that I'm going to be doing at 4 p.m. today. And like you click that in there, give it a really good prompt, and make sure in the browser you're logged into everything, and let it go. And you're literally going to get 4 to 6 hours of work done while you go make your coffee in the morning. Crazy.
Crazy,
Crazy.
man. So crazy.
So, and a little bit of a lead in, because now being in it and using it long enough to see the progression, it was like the chat interface, then the chat interface with reasoning, and deep research modes and all these thinking modes and all that, where it's going out and doing more kind of agentic tasks, multi-step. And if it hits a barrier, it's figuring out a workaround and coming back, and it can do lots of multi-step requests in that single chat. Well, and now you've got the agentic browser that's coming out and getting more useful, and that's the way things are going to go there. But ultimately, where this is heading is your computer, where it's running your computer, and you're just telling it what to do, and it has full access to your suite of tools. It's, you're logged in under, whatever the case is, right? Like even in Comet, I haven't tried this, but for trip planning, if you were in theory to log into your United Airlines and your Enterprise rental car, if you were logged in on all those, you could say, hey, I'm planning a trip out to whatever, Jackson Hole, Wyoming. These are the dates. Go find the tickets, put them in, get it to the purchase point, and then it can actually, I forget now if it will go through and do the purchase for you. It'll probably have you take over to make the purchase. But we're not too far from it actually going through and making those purchases for you. But it can actually build out all those itineraries in those apps for you, and then you're ready to rock and roll. And what used to take a few hours of trip planning, or maybe multiple days of trip planning, is now 15 minutes in the morning, and let it run, do its thing, and then come back.
It's amazing.
And the last example of this is I didn't get it to, well, no, it would have worked. So I was just dabbling with this for like, oh, I want to start a new vitamin regimen, right? So I had to go in, hey, you're Andrew Huberman, and you're kind of all these top longevity and performance people that I follow and like. Give me like my optimized vitamin protocol for days of time, or time of day, and the types that I need to have, and give me the recommendations based on a whole bunch of stuff that I gave it, a lot of context. And then I said, go find all this on Amazon, add it to my cart, and then add it to the cart to make the purchase. So hit click run on that, went out, did a bunch of other stuff, and then lo and behold, there, bam, pop back in. There's my Amazon cart, all the recommendations in the cart, however much it was for like a month or two of supplements. And if I wasn't at that time logged into my Amazon account, actually, because I was like, I'm just going to try this first before we let it fully loose. And like came back, there it all is in my Amazon cart. It's like,
Wild.
yeah.
That's so
Yeah.
cool, man.
Yeah, so it's rapidly evolving. And I think on the business side, talking with a lot of business owners, yeah, it's overwhelming for me some days, but I think for people who are not down the path yet, it's like, it's overwhelming, but you got to start somewhere, and just taking those baby steps, crawl first, then walk, then run, then sprint. And you got to start somewhere. I think the business movement, especially in my space in engineering, is a little bit slower, a little bit more protected, kind of just doing it the way they've always done it. So getting that journey started will help, and you can make up ground fast, but you got to get started.
Absolutely, man. Well, look, Shane, that's another great episode in the books. Thanks again and always for sharing your knowledge. Um, where can people find you? You got this awesome 8-week course coming up. I know you love sharing ideas and content for free as well.
Mhm.
Where can people find you?
Yeah, on LinkedIn, just Shane Chalupa, Shane, and then Chalupa. LinkedIn's great. And you can also reach out to support at obnovit, obnovit.com. Shoot us an email and we'll get you set in the right area to get you registered if you're interested in the training, or offer a free 30-minute AI strategy call where we run down. I'll give you some free value and tips and tricks, as well as identify kind of the best next steps for you personally or for your business, or both.
That's awesome, man. And look, just to plug myself, if you
Yeah, same thing,
ever
Sam.
ever want to just chat about SEO, whether it's just for general knowledge or for your business or the firm that you work for, email me at sam@keyriseconsulting.com, or find me on LinkedIn under Sam Lee.
Nice. Awesome. Well, yeah, appreciate it. Likewise, very grateful for this and another awesome episode in the books.
Sounds great. Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone.